Start your next cookout or picnic off right with some easy summer appetizer recipes.
Joining us now in the kitchen is personal chef Bill Collins. He's going to show us how to make the perfect guacamole.
Yes. The secret to guacamole is there's no secret to it. Actually, all you need to know.
Here. What are you doing?
Okay, yeah, bye. No, actually, the secret to guacamole is selecting the avocados. And what you want to do is if you get a chance to plan ahead, get them a couple days ahead because often they're hard as a rock and you need it to be soft and fresh and ripe when you do it. If it's not quite soft and ripe when you do it, if you have a food processor, you can really mash it up, but it's best to have it ripe.
Is the flavor different when it's ripe, though?
Oh, yeah, because it's also nice and creamy. The most popular of the avocados is the Hass one, and it's creamier. You can get all kinds of avocados. They're all good. Hass is the best. It's creamy.
Now, if you want to speed up the aging process, let's say because you go to the grocery store and you buy the ones that aren't ripe yet, but you have a party and you need to make guacamole now, how do you quickly ripen them?
Well, quickly is a relative term. Throw them in a paper bag. If you have a day, they'll start to get a little bit better. But you can't get instant gratification if you buy it that day and it's hard as a rock. You mash it up and chop it up. It's going to be good, but not as great.
Okay.
But there are ways to work around it because with the other ingredients, you can kind of hide it.
Fudge it a little bit.
Yep.
All right.
So now the first thing you want to remember, this is like the easiest step that's easy to forget, is a little stem end right there. Pluck it right off because what's going to happen is when you go to that one, I'd have you do that one.
But it would be right here.
Right there,
doing
yeah.
it at home.
Because if you don't, when you go to cut it, it's going to end up in your guacamole. So
That's a nice surprise.
It is, yep. So you don't want that.
No,
Someone once told me that if you take that piece off when you're trying to ripen it, it ripens more quickly. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or not.
It might be an old wives' tale because it's so sealed up. It's the oxygen. Because you know when you open up an avocado, they're often brown. It's because it's either too old or the air has gotten into it. So now there's a very safe way to open up an avocado. People don't realize it. And you want to cut down like that and then cut around and rotate it like that.
Well, that's much easier than picking it up and doing it. That's what I usually do.
And then you spin it. But now here's the part where if you look at YouTube videos, you're going to lose your hand and wrist.
Oh, I go hi-ya.
Right, and instead of going hi-ya and getting great distance, you don't need that much distance. Just drop it down. And sometimes it'll come right out, or if not, try it again.
A little bit harder.
A little bit harder.
The trick isn't a sharp knife.
It doesn't have to be a sharp knife. And actually, I don't use my main sharp knives because you're gonna dull them if you keep hitting the pits. So that way it does a little twist. Now notice how I had my hand like that. I saw some videos I was looking around at. They had the fingers up like that. It's going to end badly. So
it ends in a YouTube video.
It is because the only red things you want in the guacamole is tomato, nothing else.
Good point.
So again, I'm doing a second one here.
You know what I missed though, Bill? How did you take the pit off of the knife? Because that's often where it can lead to injury too.
Just go like that and see if it'll turn. And really, just take your thumb and press down.
Oh, that's easier than I thought. Because for me, I smack the trash can with the knife.
Right.
And it goes flying.
It causes a lot of damage.
Yeah, damage, mess, it's not good.
That's right.
Not anymore, though.
And now your trash can will be happier because it's not getting smashed. So now you just take a tablespoon or a large spoon and it comes right out. So just
no
scoop around
secret
like
to it.
No secret. That's the thing.
I scrape the insides too, just in case.
Yep.
I don't want to miss any.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, and then you just eat it right off the spoon. I mean,
exactly. I'll tell you.
You don't know what happens in the Cole household.
Don't eat my guacamole.
Well, it sometimes doesn't even make it to the guacamole because the avocado is so good. You can just start nibbling out. It's great in a salad.
Yesterday we had it on top of a burger. That was really good.
Oh, that's a great combo. Everything. Plus it adds a creaminess and a nice different texture.
And it's one of the good fats too. There's a solid amount of fat in avocado, but people tell me it's the good fat.
It is a good fat, and so you just don't want to have more than 10 or 15 a day, but it is the good fat.
Okay, so now we got the avocado in there.
I've already got some chopped up tomato in there, and really I like to use a potato masher only because it makes life easier, but also mash around the tomatoes as well because breaking everything up, you want to incorporate everything. And what I often do is I might have some extra tomatoes around for two reasons. One, in case I need to stretch the recipe out a little bit, so you've got a few more guests than you'd plan otherwise. But also maybe you do need an extra tomato in there or more in there. So it's always good to have some extra ingredients.
Okay.
So now it's all guac looking. Now,
it's guac-ish.
It's guac-ish. If you don't have any fresh garlic powder works well with this. Now here's the big secret. I do not put lime juice in. I put lime zest, because this is going to give you a nice fresh lime flavor without the acidity or the bite of the juice. So it's all the benefits of lime juice without the acid.
Now I know that the acid keeps it from turning brown. Is that correct or no?
Yes, to a certain degree, but you've also got the acidity of the tomatoes. So you've already got some working in there. And that's why this is not a dish I make in advance, or if I do, maybe an hour. And if I do make in advance, I'll put it in the fridge, I'll put plastic wrap over it, but press it right down to the surface of
So there's as little air as possible.
That's exactly it. And because there's also an old rumor that's not really true, that if you just put the pit of the avocado in,
Just gonna ask you that.
It's only the area around the pit.
You gotta have a lot of pits then.
You
so
do.
So it can't, for people who don't know that, old wives, so what is it? You put it in and it keeps everything safe?
They say it's supposed to keep it green and keep it greener, but it's scientifically, because I was looking around, because when I wrote up the recipe, I was looking at all these little hints. I thought maybe I could suggest that, but it really isn't the case. So
I love when you're here, Chef Bill.
Can you replant the pits and try to make an avocado tree out of it?
well, here's my difficulty with that.
No, it's a good question.
It's a great question, but the problem is the climate. And so many years ago, when I was a little boy, we drove cross country to visit family, and my grandmother went with us. She's a little Cockney grandmother, a little English woman. And so we got to my aunt's backyard, and she had these avocado and lemon trees. And my grandmother said, "Oh my God, you can make a fortune by selling these." And my aunt pointed out to all the neighbors who had them, because they're all over the place out there, but out here, not so much. You might be able to have an indoor plant. You might be able to nurture it over time, but generally, I don't think it would survive the New England weather.
Now, Chef Bill, is this done?
It's done. Now, here's the big secret that the chef gets to do, is to taste it
With the back of a
with
knife.
the back of a knife.
And
a little more salt, and then we can take, because we decided to go with the first round here, the guacamole, to use cucumbers and carrots for dipping. So if you'd like
I'm gonna dip away.
Okay,
actually
Ashley, you dip away, and we aren't done with you, Chef Bill.
No.
Later on the show, we're making salsa, and we're also making tortilla chips. I can't
Yes.
wait.
Yes. Thank you, Chef Bill.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Today's summer.
Welcome back to Mass Appeal. Ashley's snacking, but we're back in the kitchen with personal chef Bill Collins. Now, earlier we made guacamole. Now we are making some festive fruit salsas.
Yes, we're making two kinds of salsa. We're doing a tomato salsa, and we're doing a very similar salsa, but without the tomato. We're doing with pineapple and fresh strawberries. So the secret to both of them is they've got very identical ingredients, in that there's some cilantro, red onion, and scallions, and my surprise ingredient is balsamic vinegar. By the way, the tool you're using, that's called a tomato shark, and it's used to take the little top off of the stem end off of a tomato. It's also perfect for strawberries. So it's one of those tools that has very limited, one or two functions, but it's indispensable.
You can nickname him Jaws.
It really is. Well, yeah, exactly, because it's a shark. I think it's absolutely right.
Perfect, right?
Da-da. So here's what we're doing. We've got both sets of fresh vegetables and fruit. We've got the tomatoes in one, and we've got the pineapple and strawberries in the other. Now, strawberries are right in season now. They're just spectacular. But it's a short season. So once this season ends, especially as we get more towards the end of the summer, this fruit salsa is also great. We call it a rock fruit salsa. And that's because strawberries, peaches, nectarines, those that have the big hard pit inside, those work beautifully. And since we've got such great local ones, and that's a very short season, those go very well in here. And just like the avocados, though, we don't have any local pineapples, so we did go and actually.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but they're still very flavorful.
Actually, you have some friends that have a pineapple plant growing on their porch. I don't know if you knew that, actually. I was over there last night.
I didn't know
There's
that,
a pineapple
That's
plant
perfect.
growing
Why
on
didn't
the
you tell
porch.
me? So, I decided last night that strawberries and pineapple are my two favorite fruits.
Perfect.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but this is going to be my kind of salsa.
Weigh in
I
on our
think it
Facebook
is.
page. What are your favorite fruits?
What are
I think it is. That's
Put them
perfect.
together in a salsa.
So now we can put the other ingredients in. I've got some freshly chopped cilantro.
Oh, now, Ashley doesn't like cilantro.
That's
Keep it
okay.
all
No,
easy.
load it in.
Okay.
I'll stick to the guacamole,
Okay.
Chef Bill. That was delicious.
We've got some cilantro. I've also got some red onion, and again, they're identical in both of them. So I've got some red onion.
So it's just the base ingredients that you're changing for the most part.
Exactly. I've got some scallions, and the reason I go with red onions and scallions is they both give some nice color to it.
It's a good idea.
I've got some salt. And Ashley, if you can hand me two of those limes again, please.
You betcha.
Because, I am just crazy for lime zest.
What kind of
And
salt are you using, by the way?
That's kosher salt.
Okay.
And whenever I cook, as opposed to baking, if I'm doing savory cooking, I use kosher salt because it flows more easily through your fingers, where the regular table salt is too fine, and you really can't control it as well.
Okay.
So
It's
that's
easier
why I
to
do
get
that
a
one.
pinch of that kind of salt instead?
Exactly. It's very hard to do the pinch. Plus, in baking, it's very hard to get the larger kosher salt to break apart. Now, I'm working around that tag there, which refused to come off. So we've got just a little bit there. Now, two of my secret ingredients. I put in just a hint of brown sugar, not too much. Yeah, just a little bit.
Sweet.
Now,
Now,
sometimes
why would you do that? What in brown sugar makes it so good in salsa?
Well, I like the texture of it. It breaks up because what's going to help break it up is I also put in a little balsamic vinegar. Just a hint in both of them. And so just a splash.
I think everything's better with brown sugar.
And
Yep.
someone came in a few weeks back and they did strawberries and balsamic vinegar, and they just raved about it.
It's such a classic combination. And also there's some balsamic vinegars which are aged, 50, 70, 100 years, literally. And you can use them literally just for dipping in fruit.
Not bad.
And it certainly is worth it to make your own because it's a little bit more work than opening a jar, but I'm sure the flavor is just amazing.
Exactly.
And you're not getting those preservatives too, I would assume.
Exactly, and a lot of them do have lots of sugar, lots of oils in them. I mean, they taste great, but now you can also make these much smaller. I like having them big because you can also serve this on the side with fish, with chicken, so it's really not just for dipping in with chips. And I've actually hidden the chips over there that I've made, so we're gonna have to perhaps wait a moment or just, I know, we can
No,
use
we'll
the
keep-
end of a
There
we go.
strawberry.
Yeah. Healthy
so
eating right there.
creative.
Here, Ashley, I'm gonna hand this one to you. There you go.
Oh, I'm gonna skip because it has cilantro, but
Are you
that's
sure?
okay. Yeah, I'm sticking with the guacamole. Where'd you hide that?
I put that in the fridge so it won't
All
turn
right,
brown.
well, don't
get
worry.
to the
I'll
guacamole.
take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Hey, nothing goes better with guacamole and salsa than tortilla chips. So as Bill was saying, we're gonna show you how to make them a little bit later in the show.
Now you dig in.
Okay. Welcome back to Mass Appeal. We're finishing up with Chef Bill Collins in the kitchen. Now we've made our guacamole.
Yes.
We've made our salsa.
Yes.
And now we're making some low-calorie tortilla chips, or lower calorie.
Yeah, lower calorie, lower fat, about half the fat of a regular store-bought tortilla chip. And the beauty of these is they're very easy to make. You use regular corn tortillas. There's one downside, is that you have to make them fresh that day, and they really won't go more than a handful of hours. They'll start to soften a bit.
So you do it when guests just start arriving.
Yeah,
or maybe
because
a little before.
because they're so simple. Because really, what you do is 5 tortillas will fit on the sheet pan, and so you just take some canola oil or a corn oil, and you just kind of go around. Make sure you get the edges, and you want to cut these into little chip size. So perfect way of doing it is cut it in half.
Oh, an economy of cutting.
Economy of cutting.
Oh, warm chips.
Warm chips.
There's nothing better.
And the next thing you know, you've got 40 tortilla chips from that. And I just lightly oiled the pan here. And so
now,
you just,
Chef Bill, in the finished product, is this about those same 40 tortilla chips
That's
here?
it. Well, actually, down to 37. I don't want to name names.
No,
but yes,
yeah, but his name is Seth and he
That's
ate one.
exactly it. So it gives you a nice yield, and so you can get. The reason I did 40 is that's what will fit on the pan. So, and I already oiled the ones underneath, and so you just lay them all out in the pan. You bake them at about 350 for about 15 minutes, could be 12 minutes, so check them. What's going to happen is, as you can see, they start to turn brown. But once they're starting to get a little golden, take them out of the oven, leave them in the pan, because they'll still continue to get warm, and that will help with the crunch. But as I said, you don't even want to do this 8 hours ahead, because they will start to break down and get a little bit soft. Okay. So you've got that. And say if you just arrange them, they'll definitely all fit. So makes it easy, and they come right off the pan.
Like
They
I'm
don't stick
dealing
to the
cards.
Chef Bill, does the oil that you use make a difference?
Yes, it does, because it's one of the rare instances where you don't want to use olive oil, because especially if your oven's running a little bit hot, you can run the risk of burning the olive oil, even though it's not in the oven that long. So you don't want to do that. So that's why I would say go with an oil that you can go with a higher heat.
Now, let's say you want to season these chips. Do you season them before you put it in the oven or afterwards?
Absolutely, you can do before you put it in, because the flavor's gonna bake on there. So that's why I've got some salt here. But there's so many other things you can put on there. The salt's right here. There are so many other things you can put on there. See the white thing?
Is that milk? Oh no,
No, it's nothing.
There's nothing in there.
Nothing.
Magic
so
salt.
yes, so what you do is you just kind of sprinkle the salt on there. And you don't want to be sparing with it, but you don't want to go crazy. But just make them salty, because nothing like a nice bit of salt to it. But you can put some chili powder on it. You can put Parmesan cheese on it. There's so many things you can do to give these their own different flavor. With little bites, sort of like almost a barbecue flavor. You can come up with whatever flavors you want.
Chipotle on there?
Exactly. And so, and then when you combine those with the salsas or even on their own, it makes it a really great all-purpose snack. And I was looking at a bag of tortilla chips, the purchase ones, which are terrific. These do have half the fat of the others.
And it's probably a quarter the price.
And they're so easy to make. Now, what if you want to make a tangy chip? How can I put lime on those chips?
Well, actually, there's
you
you can
zest?
try some zest. And I don't have my zest right here. My zester is right behind us at the sink. But I was thinking of that earlier because then you can put a little bite, because you do have the lime tortilla chips with a bit of a bite. I would play around with that and do that, and then the flavor would bake on. You might also, now, since I haven't done that, my second thought is if it doesn't quite work, you don't get enough flavor, put it on just before they come out of the oven. Give them maybe a moment or so just to meld in, and so that way there's a chance they could burn off or not sink in enough.
Right, so just right before you take them out, put that on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, put it in for another minute or so, and so then you get this fresh flavor of the lime.
Warm, fresh, healthier, cheap. Wow.
Yeah, it covers it all.
And then we throw them in
Covers
the
it all.
oven. Once again, I know you've already told us, but at what temperature and for how long?
350 degrees, about 12, maybe 15 minutes, and
Until
until
they're
they start
that
to brown.
golden, crispy brown.
Right, your mileage may vary because some ovens are different, so just kind of keep an eye on it that way.
Well, thank you, Chef Bill.
Chef Bill,
Thank
what
you.
are,
Great
what are you
recipes.
doing at about 7, 8 o'clock tonight? What are you doing at 8?
8 o'clock, I am going to be at my keyboard because the manuscript for my first cookbook is due on
Wrong
Friday.
answer, Chef Bill.
Busy.
You're
Oh wait,
supposed
no,
to
I
be
meant to say,
saying
but I'll have the voice on and the
watching
bat.
There
voice,
we are.
Because Amherst's own will be on it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So don't forget, it all comes down to tonight. One contestant